Rubik's Cubes. Everybody knows them, and lots of people love them. But Rubik's Cubes are only in the third dimension, or so you think. There are 3 other main dimensions. Well, technically 2, you don't use the 4th. But you've got the 3rd dimensional cube. Sorry if you can't see. You know, why don't I just change the color of my lights? There we go. We've got the Tesseract, the 4th dimensional cube. The cube, the 3rd dimension. Dimension. Square is in the 2nd dimension, and the line, which is a single dimension. Now, there's one other that, exists, but it's a tad complicated, or it would be if, it wasn't complicated. If it wasn't not complicated. It's the 0th dimension, it's just a point. So, back on the Rubik's Cube. 3-dimensional Rubik's Cube. Okay? There's a 4-dimensional Rubik's Cube and a 2-dimensional Rubik's Cube. Both of the 2 and the 4 dimensionals are 2x2s. Now, you may be asking, oh, how'd you find this out? And why are you talking about this if you don't even know how to solve a Rubik's Cube? I don't care. Now, the person who I think came up with the idea for the 2 and 4-dimensional Rubik's Cube, don't quote me on that, is, let me check. Rowan Fortier. I'm not going to put him in the, description because I don't feel like it. Well, more of I don't want to. But, hear me out. I made a 1-dimensional 2x2 Rubik's Cube. And what I have in here, in this bag, is the Rubik's Cube. Now, this Rubik's Cube is a bit wacky, It's a bit wacky, man. Essentially, there are 8 pieces to this. Because as you can recall from the intro, the 1st dimension is just a line. So the pieces are so incredibly tiny. Like, so incredibly tiny that I almost have to hold them with tweezers. I have marked the odds with a dot on them to symbolize that they are, in fact, the odd numbers. So, the way this turns is a bit crazy wacky, So let me just get the cube set up, as one does. Think of each piece that's close together as like 2 edge pieces. But it's not going to remain like that for long. And you'll see what I mean. So if I can just get that piece out, and then that piece. Okay. So this white piece with the dot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This white piece with the dot and this red piece without a dot are like edges. But this is how you separate it. So if you can imagine, or you could take a screenshot if you're on mobile, you could draw a line from one end to the other. But on this, you can do some real crazy, wacky turns. So you can do a half turn in one space. So that would be moving each one up one, and then connecting the red and the white. So as I was saying before about imagining things, you can imagine that from this red all the way down to this red, that is the line of the first dimension I'm talking about. The first dimension is a line. It is not an enclosed shape. So let's go back to the original way we had it, with the funky little thingy. So you may be saying, oh, how are you supposed to turn it in any other way? So these two oranges, you can flip this to any side and you do the opposite with the other side. So for example, this is a real wacky case. You could move the white over there and then the yellow over there. But you'd have to move. No, you wouldn't move. It would be like that. This is when it gets real wacky. You can use this orange as the base point for the turn. And then you turn it. Mind you, it is still a line. You can draw a line. It is not an enclosed shape, if I'm not mistaken. But I can get some real wacky things with this. So like you can use a piece that is non-existent as a turning piece for it. See this? You would have to move all of those for this one simple turn. Mind you, this is still a line. You can still draw a line. And it is not an enclosed shape, I believe. Then if you want to make a turn in a direction, like if you wanted to move that upwards, you'd bring that down, but you'd bring this. Everything next to the piece that you're moving upwards. The pieces that don't exist, don't move. This is a real wacky thing that exists that I have made. I don't even know how to solve it myself. Well, that's a real stupid thing to say, aren't you asking? Yes, it is. That's why I am going to come up with a completely random scramble, and I am going to try to solve it for you.